Proposed Rulemaking. Title 34, Labor and Industry. Part 15. Office of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Chapter 501. Registration of Sign Language Interpreters and Transliterators. Under Section 3, Subsection 4 of the Sign Language Interpreters and Transliterators State Registration Act, hereafter referred to as the Act, Pennsylvania Statutes, Title 63, Section 1725.3, Subsection 4. The Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, hereafter referred to as the Office, within the Department of Labor and Industry, hereafter referred to as the Department, is submitting this proposed rulemaking for the registration of sign language interpreters and transliterators. The Department proposes amendments to 34 PA Code Chapter 501 relating to registration of sign language interpreters and transliterators as set forth in Annex A. Statutory Authority. The office is empowered to promulgate regulations that are necessary to carry out the Act's provisions. Pennsylvania Statutes, Title 63, Section 1725.3, Subsection 4. The Act also provides specific authority to approve a registration examination and to promulgate rulemaking addressing fees, disciplinary violations, and registration reactivation. Pennsylvania Statutes, Title 63, Section 1725.5, Subsection A13, Subsection D, Section 1725.8, Subsection A 6, and Section 1725.9, Subsection C 1. Background. The Act requires the office to register sign language interpreters and transliterators who meet the Act's testing requirements. Registration renewal is required every 2 years. The Act also allows the office to charge fees, initiate discipline, impose administrative fines for violations, suspend, deny, or revoke registrations, and hold hearings concerning alleged violations. The Department may seek an injunction or pursue criminal action against unregistered persons engaging in sign language interpretation or transliterator services or representing themselves as being registered under the Act. The regulations in 34 PA Code Chapter 501 currently provide specific names of examinations that test skill and proficiency. Through this rulemaking, the Department seeks to remove the specific names of these examinations because they are no longer being offered. This rulemaking will allow the office to publish annually the names of the available examinations. In addition, Act 124 of 2010, hereafter referred to as Act 124, amended the Act to allow for provisional registration. And, accordingly, the Department seeks to amend 34 PA Code, Chapter 501, to provide for provisional registration. The Department engaged in a 30-day public and stakeholder outreach period during the drafting process. On August 9, 2022, the Department sought comment from small businesses, sign language interpreters, certifying organizations, private, public, and nonprofit organizations, citizens with disabilities, and the general public by sending an email to a list of all known stakeholders and posting a notice of the proposed changes to the regulations and an accessible video online on the Department's website. The Department requested feedback from stakeholders on desired changes to the regulations. The public comment period was open until September 9, 2022, and the Department received feedback from various stakeholders as a result of this request. Purpose. The rulemaking amends Chapter 501 to delete the identified examinations that test knowledge and proficiency, which are no longer offered. The amended language will expand the number of examinations available for sign language interpreters and transliterators by requiring the office to publish an annual list of approved examinations. Additionally, the proposed rulemaking adds Section 501.4.1 related to provisional registration to provide for a provisional registration and amends Section 501.2 related to fees to set initial and annual renewal fees for the provisional registration. Summary of proposed rulemaking. Part 15. The heading for Part 15 of Title 34 is amended to correct a minor error. The heading currently states Office of the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. However, the proper name for the office is the Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. 34 PA Code, Section 501.1. This section is amended to remove 1. The names of examinations previously offered by the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, Incorporated, hereafter referred to as RID, and the National Association of the Deaf, hereafter referred to as NAD, because RID and NAD no longer offer examinations. And 2. The names of the certifications associated with those specific examinations. The office will now publish an annual list of approved examinations. Because neither the office nor the department controls how long specific interpreting and transliterating examinations are provided, this change is necessary in order to keep the list of examinations current. This section is also amended to provide definitions for interpreter education program, legal settings, medical setting, and mental health setting, as those terms are used in Section 501.4.1, Provisional Registration, and Section 501.5, Exemptions. 34 PA Code, Section 501.2. This section is amended to add an annual provisional registration fee of $50 that is renewable for the same amount. Section 5.1D of the Act establishes the provisional registration fee of $50. Pennsylvania Statutes Title 63, Section 1725.5.1d. The office currently charges registration and renewal fees for interpreters and transliterators and has not observed that these fees are a barrier to individuals seeking to register. 34 PA Code, Section 501.3. This section is amended to provide for an annual list of examinations that are approved by the office to test knowledge and proficiency in interpreting and transliterating. This section also includes a requirement that the examinations approved by the office shall include, but not be limited to, a test to determine ethical decision-making. This will provide the office with greater flexibility in approving examinations so that there are approved examinations for individuals wishing to register as sign language interpreters and transliterators. It will also allow for an expanded number of examinations available for sign language interpreters and transliterators. 34 PA Code, Section 501.4. Because the office will publish an annual list of approved examinations, this section is amended to remove the requirements to receive proof of certification from only RID and NAD. though other registration and application criteria will remain the same, with future certifying organizations recognized by the office. This section is also amended to remove the specific web address for the office's website, since the specific web address has changed and may change again in the future. This section also clarifies that if the office denies an application for registration, the applicant may file a request for reconsideration with the office in accordance with the procedures contained in Section 501.9 relating to requests for reconsideration of registration denial. Finally, this section is amended to capitalize office to be consistent with this defined term. 34 PA Code, Section 501.4.1. Act 124 amended the Act to allow for provisional registration. In Pennsylvania, an interpreter must pass an examination approved by the office that tests knowledge and interpreting or transliterating skills. The examinations are given in two parts. The first part of the examination tests the interpreter's knowledge, which includes ethical decision-making. The second part of the examination is the skills examination. A provisionally registered interpreter has passed only the knowledge portion of the examination, whereas a state-registered interpreter has passed both the knowledge examination and the skills examination. Due to Act 124's amendment to the Act to allow for provisional registration, this section is added to provide the definition, procedure, and requirements of an annual provisional registration, and a required fee of $50 that is renewable for the same amount. The amount was set by Act 124, and the Department is not using its authority to change this amount at this time. See, for example, Pennsylvania Statutes Title 63, Section 1725.5.1d. This section references that an application for a provisional registration may be obtained from the office or the department's website. Currently, a person seeking an application needs to contact the office, but the office is working on changes to its website to 1. Make the application available via the website, and 2. Allow an applicant to complete the application through the website. This section also provides procedural steps if provisional registration is denied, including the applicant's right to file a request for reconsideration with the office, in accordance with the procedures contained in Section 501.9, relating to the request for reconsideration of registration denial. 34 PA Code, Section 501.5. This section is amended to update the language of the exemption for interpreting or transliterating as part of a supervised internship or practicum at an accredited college or university, to be consistent with the language for the corresponding exemption found in Section 4, subsection B3 of the Act, Pennsylvania Statutes, Title 63, Section 1725.4, B3. This section is also amended to remove the specific web address for the office's website and to correct a typographical error. 34 PA Code, Section 501.7. Due to Act 124's amendment to the Act to allow for provisional registration, this section is amended to include a provisional registration as a circumstance where a violation can occur. This section is also amended to capitalize office to be consistent with this defined term. 34 PA Code, Section 501.9. Due to Act 124's amendment to the Act to allow for provisional registration, this section is amended to allow the office to deny an application for provisional registration and to allow an applicant to seek reconsideration of a denial for a provisional registration. 34 PA Code, Section 501.12. Due to Act 124's amendment to the Act to allow for provisional registration, this section is amended to require provisional registrants to notify the office in writing within 10 days if the provisional registrant's name or mailing address changes, or if disciplinary action has been taken against the provisional registrant's registration, certification, or license to provide interpreting or transliterating services by another state or government agency. Affected persons. The types and numbers of persons, businesses, small businesses, and organizations affected include 1.5 million people who are deaf or hard of hearing, interpreters, and interpreter education programs. Fiscal impact. There is no cost to people who are deaf or hard of hearing. The costs for registration and for approved examinations are to be paid by the candidates who apply and do not account for any candidate or interpreter travel and pre-test course fees, but are associated with registration and testing. Currently, the cost for registration and testing ranges from $140 to $450, depending on the specific course and testing administrator. There are no fiscal savings or costs associated with implementation and compliance for the regulated community, local government, and state government for the current year and 5 subsequent years. Reporting, record keeping, and paperwork requirements. To implement this rulemaking, the Department has prepared 4 updated forms, including 1. The Interpreter Registration Application. 2. The Provisional Registration Application. 3. The Provisional Registration Renewal Application. And 4. The Provisional and State Registration Invoice. Updates to these forms were required to remove the names of specific examinations in accordance with the changes in the proposed rulemaking. These 4 updated forms are attached to this proposed rulemaking. The Department does not anticipate any other changes to the reporting, record keeping, and paperwork requirements as a result of this proposed rulemaking. Sunset date. A sunset date is not appropriate for this proposed rulemaking. The office will periodically monitor this proposed rulemaking and submit amendments as needed. Effective date. This proposed rulemaking will be effective 60 days after publication of a final form rulemaking in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. Contact person. Interested persons are invited to submit written comments, suggestions, or objections regarding the proposed amendments to Melissa A. Hawkins, Director, Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing, 7th floor, 651 Boas Street, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, 17121, or by email at the following address: odhh public comments @pa.gov within 30 days of publication of this proposed rulemaking in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. If you wish to provide a comment, suggestion, or objection in an alternative format, please contact the Office for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing for assistance. Regulatory Review. Under Section 5A of the Regulatory Review Act, Pennsylvania Statute Act 71, Section 745.5A, on September 18, 2024, the Department submitted a copy of this proposed rulemaking and a copy of a regulatory analysis form to the Independent Regulatory Review Commission, hereafter referred to as the IRRC, and to the chairpersons of the House and Senate Labor and Industry Committees. A copy of this material is available to the public upon request. Under Section 5G of the Regulatory Review Act, IRRC may convey any comments, recommendations, or objections to the proposed rulemaking within 30 days of the close of the public comment period. Please note, this date is November 4th, 2024. The comments, recommendations, or objections shall specify the regulatory review criteria which have not been met. The Regulatory Review Act specifies detailed procedures for review prior to final publication of the proposed regulations by the Department, the General Assembly, and the Governor of comments, recommendations, or objections raised. Signed, Nancy A. Walker, Secretary.